Mr. Reyes? You finished scraping the gum off that lounger or what?
Hey everyone, Rascal here. And Mama. Welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and another DC podcast. And today we're covering the Blue Beetle movie that released in 2023. This movie finally takes Blue Beetle to the big screen as we see his reimagined origins, very reimagined, and his rise to become the great superhero we know and love. Mostly. And before we start, be sure to like and subscribe and notification for this on future podcasts and all the past videos. Absolutely. Now I'm going to be very honest up front. I really wanted one that was similar to the Blue Beetle on Young Justice. Yeah, that's what I was hoping for, but they decided to go a different route. And then after reading up on the original character and the other two incarnations prior to Ramirez, we find out that this particular character in this movie is nothing like the character either in the comics or in the Young Justice version. Yeah, it's a complete, basically reimagined version of the character, and we don't know what the purpose was, but I'm gonna assume it's for ones who've never watched Young Justice, never read the comic, and this is their first introduction to the character, and they're just taking this as is. Much like the MCU sometimes changes things around, and they're also trying not to be anything like the Young Justice version, because if you do watch that show, your first thing you're gonna do is compare how close it is to that one. Well, you don't do much because it's all different, except for how he looks in the suit and his name. That is it. Yeah, and in here he's actually older than in the comics and in the Young Justice version. Yeah, he is a recent college graduate, so he's in his 20s now. Yeah, instead of his teens. I guess so they could get away with a few of the jokes. More jokes, that they were more sensual in here. It was okay if he was an adult. So, I mean, I know people kind of made jokes with him in the Scarab, but it was never that bad. The most was the Scarab probably likes Nightwing or something. That was it. But they really went a little further than that here. Yeah. Especially with how the Scarab clings on to him. And it's like, if you've seen the movie, you know, because they don't put in the trailer, it just gets on his back in Young Justice and attaches himself to the spine on the outside. Correct. Well, in here, it actually goes into his skin and his body, and then attaches itself on the inside of it and sort of fuses with him. No, and it doesn't go in his skin, because in the trailer, they specifically says it goes up his butt. Yeah. And it goes up his butt, and then it goes inside, and then starts coming through the skin, attaching in the middle of his spine. And it was like, and someone thought that was going to be funny to see, and they were like, oh gosh, it was traumatizing but also funny, and it was supposed to be like did he get probed? And it was like, what is this joke doing in here? Yeah, let's not pretty it up and lie. They said it goes up his butt. That's what it says. Yeah, instead just on his back, it's up his butt into this back. It's like, okay, who thought of that? So, for me, the first problem with this movie is that the trailer shows it more as of a comedy. Yeah. And I really, really wanted a superhero movie. It was written, first of all, directed, I should say, by Angel Manuel Soto, written by Gareth Dennett Alucer. And I understand the point of having representation, but I feel like Rascal, maybe they weren't as familiar with the character as they could be. Maybe they didn't go back and read the comics, and they were intent on presenting something different. But for people that love this character, it didn't deliver. And that's unfortunate, because finally Blue Beetle gets a chance to be on the big screen, like a lot of comic heroes who really never got in the spotlight, and they get a chance, and it ultimately does not work. The movie budget was between 104 and 125 million. It earned 130 at the box office, so that means it pretty much broke even. But this movie could have been outstanding. And yeah, true. And it's one of those cases where it was missed opportunity or missed potential. For me, the biggest disappointment is their failure to fully utilize Solo Mariduena. He is fantastic in Cobra Kai. His acting is splendiferous, is another way to put it. You love the character. You can see he has mad talent. And his performance in every episode and every season has been outstanding. I thought they were going to take that talent of his and let it shine in this movie. It ended up being mostly all jokes. Over half of this movie is comedy, not superhero. And they failed to utilize the talent that he has and let him show his acting chops to us. And so more people that don't watch Cobra Kai can know, hey, he's really a great actor. He doesn't just look good, which is I think why a lot of people probably look at him, you know, at first, but he's a mad talent. And they failed to utilize it. And for me, that was the biggest disappointment. This was his opportunity to become huge. When I say that I think he's a huge talent, I think with the right movies and roles, we can be seeing him getting Golden Globes and Oscars. He's that good. I agree. And I know the rest of the cast is good for Cobra Kai as well, but he's a standout. Yes. And they failed to utilize his talent and let it shine in this movie, and it was a real huge disappointment. Yeah, exactly. And we wouldn't mind it being more lighthearted and comedy like how Shazam was. But what happened with that movie is that they still let you know when it was time to get serious, when it was time to save the day, time to be the hero, and they had to stop with the jokes for a while. Here, they only stop with the jokes when a character dies, and then quickly go on the next thing, and they go into some other character's traumatic backstory. Have some jokes in between. Then have another traumatic backstory. Then kill another character. It's like the only time they stop making jokes is when it has to do with death. And it's kind of jarring because you just said it was this whole comedy, something refreshing. Then put in the death in here. Then in between they're lighting up with some jokes. Then right back to someone else getting taken out. It's like it seems like you're kind of okay with these characters getting taken out just as long as you pepper in some humor in between. It's not like with JJK or Trigun where they put in the humor as you're watching and you're kind of like, why? And it's hilarious, but it works because it's easing it up. It just kind of goes from funny, 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 dead serious, funny, serious, funny, dead serious again. Then at the end, oh, it's funny again. It's like it kind of stopped having that pace over halfway through the movie to try to say, oh, we're going to get serious now that the movie's almost over. Yeah, I wanted a really superhero Superman movie. This wasn't what it was. So let's go through the cast. Excuse me, quickly. Zola Mariduena, as we mentioned, is Jaime Reyes. We have Adriana Barraza as Nana playing the grandma. And she gets her place in the movie where she shines. Yes. And it's very believable. Yes. I've met a lot of abuelas who are sweet and have calmed down in their older age, but they were badass in their youth. Right. So it fits. Yep. Damien Alcazar as Alberto Reyes, his father. And spoiler, yes, true to everyone copying Disney's form, one of the parents gets taken out. He starts out with two parents in the beginning. Yeah, which we were fine with. And a family, and we thought that was great. And then all of a sudden, one of them's gone, and that really pissed us off. Yeah. Elpidia Carrillo as Rocio, his mom. And then I'm going to skip some others. You got Susan Sarandon as the villain. There's no other way to call it. Yeah. She's Victoria Cord. And she's playing the sister of Ted Cord, who in the comics was the second wielder of the Scarab. Yeah. But when we read on it, how they portrayed it in here really wasn't what it was in the comics. No, it was more like they were going for the stereotype where a family member or someone else takes someone else's right to something and they take over and ruin their business and company and so forth. It's like, how many times are we going to have to see this? I mean, we know what happens. We don't have to see it in fiction, too. Right. And, of course, George Lopez is Rudy, his uncle. And we thought at first he was the dad in the trailer. Yeah. But he's the uncle. And true to form, George Lopez is George Lopez. He did a great performance. Yeah. He was a conspiracy theorist, and his performance was perfect. Yeah, he was great. True. And the way that it was written, his role outshined Zolo's, which made no sense. No, it didn't. Zolo was a star. Right. But George Lopez was excellent. You can't find any fault in anything he did or said. He was spot on 100%. And one of the best parts about the movie. So, before we go a little further, in case you're wondering, Are we ragging on and dogging it? No. When we're telling you the things that didn't work for us, I personally would give it a B minus. How about you?
Yes, I think a B minus or plus, because it was at least trying. There was effort. It wasn't lazy. It's just like they were really trying to figure out a way to get this character to be personable on the big screen without linking into Young Justice and other comic characters, because they know this is one of the last movies of DC before James Gunn resets everything. So the fact that we got this and they kind of alienated his connection to any other superhero, they just want him to be Blue Beetle. There's other superheroes here, but Blue Beetle's kind of on his own. There's not gonna be any Teen Titans, no Young Justice, no Batman, no Superman, because they don't trust any other superheroes now other than him. They've kind of alienated him being part of the rest of the universe anyway, because like, well, he's this community's hero. He's his family's hero. That's all he can be. That's all he's gonna be, because no one else is gonna understand what he's going through and what his family went through. And that kind of is probably the reason why there hasn't been talk of it, because you pretty much established this version of the character isn't for ones who loved him in Young Justice in the comics. This is for a community. This is for a segment of people that felt like they related to this character more and was rewritten to relate to those people. And because of that, people have not even bothered to either talk about the movie or even go see, because you've just told them this is not a movie for you, this is for someone else.
And the problem with that type of marketing and thinking is that for a movie to become a blockbuster, there has to be a whole scope and veil of people to love it. You can look at Wonder Woman, Black Panther, Justice League, you probably come up with some others, Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it's not a particular segment that is directed toward and they want to see it. They're included, but they want everyone to love this character. And I think that was the failure of DC, of not saying, hey, here's a superhero that's been in the comics. He's really good. He's layered. We got Zolo playing him. We know you love him. And we're going to give this movie the opportunity to make this character a household name. That wasn't how it was taken.
Right.
And then it was made mostly a joke. So again, it failed for those reasons to deliver massively as it could have. This movie, as you said earlier, had the opportunity. It had the foundation and roots to be something huge where we still be talking about it. But because it wasn't approached that way, it didn't end up that way. And that's really, really unfortunate, because as we mentioned, we love the Blue Beetle character.
Yeah.
We love Zolo and love George Lopez, and we love the idea of him having a family versus the Young Justice version where his mom had remarried, his stepdad was abusive, his dad had gotten killed. We like this version better with the family.
Right, it's something different.
Right. But making it a joke and all jokes, and as you said, not getting serious until the end, and where you have to have deaths in order for that to happen, that was disappointing. And it was somewhat formulaic. There was an opportunity to really let the actors and the characters shine, and DC failed on that. Well, I guess the bright spot for some of you will be they've shut down this part of the universe and they're starting all over.
Right, so if they ever bring him to the screen again, they'll do something else. And they did say they're not going to change him for the casting. So he's one of the few actors that are going to stay being in the role. So we will possibly see him again, just in a different form.
And I think that's probably the best choice they've made, is not recasting him. Because again, he can do it and he can be fantastic if they give him a proper script and let him loose and use the talent he's got.
Right.
I think the next movie, if they do that, that Blue Beetle movie will blow up and everyone will want to see it and learn to love Blue Beetle.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Blue Beetle, we need to quickly tell you that it's an alien that pretty much is kind of like Venom. That takes over the host.
Yeah, pretty much. And you can talk to him and everything. And here it's more of a relaxed symbiosis thing. It's not like it's trying to take over him. It's just trying to fuse with him. And that's really it. And the Scarab is now female-centric in here, which I guess they had to do with the way that he is becoming the superhero. They kind of had to make it female. And it kind of took the edge off of the Scarab, because it kind of made it more like it had more sense to not destroy and kill than the original. The original just kind of wanted to win. It was a little ruthless, and Jaime always had to calm it down.
And the original was not only voiced by a man, but also by a Latino man.
Yeah.
It worked because, like you said, he had edge, and it was difficult for him to control him. And one of our favorite lines from Young Justice is where he was like, "Don't listen to any of these people. You can't trust them." And then Nightwing said,
in defense, it said, "Well, if Scarab is powerful, you can still use it. I wouldn't just cast it to the side like he's not important."
And then the Scarab says, "Listen to the Nightwing. His logic is flawless." And that's the type of quality we were expecting from here. But we wanted that Scarab to still be the male counterpart because it worked better because you saw this kid who, and here he's an adult, we know this character. But I would like to have seen this college-educated, intelligent, sensible, young adult get overtaken by a Scarab, and I want to touch on that last, trying to control it, and it's massively powerful, and then him being intelligent enough to calm it down and to end up working with it. And that's what I wanted and we didn't get.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the only reason that he ended up in that position was because of his sister, and I really, really didn't like that.
Yeah.
I did not like that. She put him in the Milagro. She put him in that position. Don't open the box.
Yeah, and
she said don't open the box.
And he was gonna listen. He said, she said, "Don't open the box. Just gonna put it away till find out what she said." And the whole family just says, "No, open it. We gotta know what's in it." And they said, "Why are you acting like children?" Which it points out there's a flaw. How come he is sensitive enough to not do it, but everyone said, "No, open the box. Don't listen to her." Then the sister goes and takes it out of the box. He didn't even do it. So that was just like they had forced it to happen. And like, okay, he didn't want to do it. He had listened, but we gotta have him do the transformation. So let's just force it in there and say, "Oh, everyone else wanted to happen. He was peer pressured."
Yes, and I'm not sure how Bruna ended up as Ted Kord's daughter. It's not in the comics, and I would have liked to have some backstory to explain that. Last but not least, Susan Sarandon, who's an excellent actress, was another wasted talent. She was a cookie cutter, trope, bad villain.
Yeah.
And it was another waste of talent.
Yeah.
This woman is awesome, and they made her a joke.
Yeah.
So again, this movie could have been something that was so memorable that people will be going, "We want more of that. When you reboot this universe, give us more."
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen now. So we hope that when it's rebooted and Zolo is kept as Blue Beetle, that they will give us something that is worthy, not only the character, but his acting talents, whomever they get to portray with him, and whomever they get as the villain. That's the hope that we have.
Yes.
So if you've seen Blue Beetle, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was mid? Let us know what you think. We know this can be done better, and we are looking and expecting the next incarnation to be better.
Yes.
We look forward to it.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Blue Beetle, yes, we recommend you watch it. It's entertaining. It's got some good parts. It could have been much better.
Yeah.
And it could have utilized Zolo's talent better. But it's definitely not something you should skip. Even if they're shutting this down, they've already shut it down and moving on, you still should watch Blue Beetle.
Yes.
Come back and let us know what you think when you do.
And if y'all know already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely, and thanks so much for joining us and supporting us, subscribing to us, and sharing our videos. We appreciate you so much. You are the most awesome friends we have on YouTube.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.